So what I'm really building into this is you need to do some research before you digest mass content, particularly anything that's staking out a position on something controversial. Okay. And now our next and really last topic for the lecture, which is I want to talk some more about stereotypes. I've been thinking about it a lot since we got into it during our discussion about movies. You remember we talked about cultural stereotypes, and we talked about gender stereotypes, and we showed some blackface, and we showed some examples of movies showing other people with different backgrounds, Asian background, American, Native American background, gender stereotypes like crazy, my gosh, for women, often mostly written by men. And I've been thinking about it because, again, the source. I mean, why are people using stereotypes rather than trying to be more true to life and more balanced? And I've been thinking about it, and I want to do a discussion of that now. And once again, it's going to get back to understanding the source. So let's dig in a little bit here. Well, we'll start with a definition, which I didn't really do last time we talked about it. Widely held but fixed and oversimplified image or idea of a particular type of person or thing. The stereotype of the woman is the carer. Comes from the derivation is Greek word, it's Greek, stereos, meaning firm or solid, typos, meaning impression, like a typos writer, a typewriter, right? So it's a solid impression. So it's obviously something that's there, people accept it. It's a solid impression. Now there are a couple of more words I think have some relevance here. One is the word cliche, that's a cliche, meaning, I've seen that. And by the way, we see cliche behaviors in many, many films, TV shows, fictional works. Characters will do things that we kind of expect them to do. In fact, in many films, we see the cues of something that's about to happen because it always happens this way. It's when the new wife hugs the husband. Oh, I love you so. I've never been so happy. Oh, and I'm expecting a baby. She's going to be kidnapped in the next scene or whatever, right? Just think about it. So cliche is another subset of stereotype. This is interesting. The use of a cliche in writing, speech, or argument is generally considered a mark of inexperience or a lack of originality. Yep, in other words, you're not that creative. So you resort to cliches because you can't think of anything real or interesting. Here's another word that's related to stereotype and to cliche, and that is caricature. As a noun, picture, description, or imitation of a person in which certain striking characteristics are exaggerated in order to create a comic or grotesque effect. There are elements of caricature in the portrayal of a hero. As a verb, to caricature something is to make or give comically or grotesquely exaggerated representation of someone or something. Caricature. To me, caricature the source has a different intent from when she uses a stereotype or a cliched character to when she actually shows a caricatured character. And I want to talk about those nuances a little bit now as we explore further, but you're going to help. So if you take a minute and you're going to do these things, because learning is not just lectures, folks. It's you doing things and thinking about these concepts. So I truly do hope you will take a moment and think about Disney cartoons. I just put that down because I was hoping that was something most of you would be familiar with. And my gosh, Disney cartoons use every kind of cliche and stereotype that there is. Think about some of the cartoons that are your favorites, whatever they are. Here are a few suggestions. I've seen them all. I have a 25-year-old daughter. I've seen them all many, 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 many times. Right, so there's always a princess. Is there a princess? Pretty much always in these. Whose costume you can buy, or whose whatever you can buy at the Disney store. What other characters are cliches? Does the princess always have a little friend, like the dragon in Mulan? Maybe. What else? What about the evil person? What about the daddy? What about the romantic interest? What else? Name the characters. Are they a stereotype? Are they a cliche? Think about other common movie stereotypes. I always think of the Goonies. That's not really in your time. You're too young to know the Goonies, probably. But it's a bunch of kids who discover a treasure in a cave on the coast of California, and it's a really fun kids' adventure film. It's a real film for kids, I would say, although adults enjoy it too. But the group of kids, hey, there's a fat kid, okay, fat boy. There's this kind of girl and that kind of girl. There's a tough boy, right? And how often do films, not just animated films, make use of stereotype characters, cliches? Why do authors, creators use stereotypes, caricatures, or cliches? Is it for lack of originality? Does it have to do with what they want us to think or feel about the characters? Or maybe it's just because they're lazy and not very creative? It might be all those things. Why is the source doing these things? I'm showing some stereotype / maybe caricature characters. Okay. Got Al Jolson in blackface. I've got Laurence Olivier in blackface playing Othello. I've got, I think, what should be called a caricature down there at the bottom, Aunt Jemima, so-called, an actress playing Aunt Jemima, and there's her face on the cover of Pancake Mix. That's a caricature. When is this harmful? What about this? There's Mickey Rooney playing a Japanese character post-World War II in the film Breakfast at Tiffany's. Here is, on their lower right, definitely a caricature of a Japanese person in World War II, drawn by Dr. Seuss. You know what? I just noticed that. Wow. He did some. This might be pulled right from one of his books, by the way, because he has been some bit of hot water about this in his books lately, and some of his books have been pulled. Is it different from when it's in his book than when it's in a anti-Japanese pro-American war poster? Who's the source of the book? Who's the source of the war poster? And now, speaking of Japanese people, this is a creator / source who I respect immensely, and most people who know his work share that respect. His name is Hayao Miyazaki. He has been called the greatest animator of all time. He has animated films. Some people regard him as one of the best, if not the best, movie maker of all time. He is a source. He is an author. That's his work apron. This is at his, it's called an atelier. It's a house that's really kind of his work studio near where his company, Studio Ghibli, Ghibli, is located in Japan. New York Times Style magazine did a wonderful article on him and actually interviewed him for an hour. He never gives interviews. He's in his 80s now, and he keeps retiring and then coming back and doing one more film, which is what he's doing now. His films, most famous probably Spirited Away, which won Oscar for Best Animated Film. It's just a work of genius. Another work of genius is called Princess Mononoke. Kiki's Delivery Service, The Wind Also Rises, Ponyo. Okay, these are not computer animated. These are hand drawn, and they are works of brilliance. One of the things that's so brilliant about them is he does not rely on cliches or forget caricatures. He does not rely on cliches or stereotypes for his characters or for his stories. Nothing is ever good or bad. I'm showing you this as an example of a real artist who is the antithesis of untalented and lazy. And I'm doing it, I want to talk about one character now named Lady Eboshi from the film Princess Mononoke, which came out in 1997. She is good and she is bad. Here's the New York Times article. I've got it here. I'm not going to, well, you know me. I say one thing and do another. Here's the article, which I hope you can see, showing Miyazaki at his studio. The contradictions of humanity. You know what, that puts it as sympathetically and critically. The contradictions of humanity. Wow, that's a great phrase. I'm going very quickly through this. Here's a drawing he did of the hero from Princess Mononoke, the warrior Ashitaka. That's an ad. Oh, those pesky ads. Here's a sketch of Princess Mononoke on the large wolf. This is how she's introduced, with some forest spirits underneath. Oh my God, watercolor image board. Van Cleef and Arpels, they're targeting the wrong person. There's a self-portrait of Miyazaki he made for someone. Here is a still from Castle in the Sky, an earlier film he did, which is also wonderful. It has robots in it. Another earlier film, My Neighbor Totoro. He has children in his films quite a lot. There's the lead character from Spirited Away, Chihiro. Well, I'm going to sigh here. All right, so let's get out of this. Read the article, folks. Oh, and now I'm here, and now I'm there, and now I'm everywhere. I'm on YouTube where I'm working on all this. So, Lady Eboshi. This is a lift from the New York Times article. The embrace of contradictions may be why Miyazaki's movies, although beloved in the West, in some ways thwart the Western mind. Absent of the dominating themes of monotheism, a fall from an original state of grace followed by redemption, and a clear dichotomy of good and evil. I'm not a god who decides on what is good and bad, Miyazaki tells me. We as humans make mistakes. In his world, there are few outright villains or even truly bad characters, only characters who do bad things. Lady Eboshi wreaks havoc on the forest in Princess Mononoke, but also gives sanctuary to brothel workers and those afflicted with leprosy. We're going to watch a little film about the contradictions shown in Lady Eboshi now, just to make this point a little more clearly. Where are you? I want to stop you.